Hello and welcome to Rewired Mind Counseling Podcast. My name is Esther Ogbonda and I am the host of this show. Thank you for joining us for today's pioneering podcast on overcoming anxiety and depression using coping mechanisms. This will be achieved by integrating faith-based and clinical approaches and exploring ways that anxiety can be minimized, managed, or eliminated. I will be explaining my approaches in detail in my subsequent podcasts. How does one build a healthy sense of self-esteem after a trauma?
They build, or we can build, an individual can build healthy self-esteem. I think it even that it even also relates to the company we keep around us.
Okay, the company.
People who can speak life into us, even when we may not feel so sure about our ability to conquer a certain thing. In other words, you don't want to have some people around you who are going to keep identifying with your stuck point. And again, in their minds, they may be thinking they're protecting you, but is that really helping you to be able to stretch yourself and get outside of your comfort zone? I think the other key is knowledge and awareness is half the battle. And so, being aware, being able to recognize those problematic patterns of thinking when they come up is hugely important. You can't conquer what you don't confront.
Yes.
If you don't know what the stuck point is, you can't challenge it. I think that's another key. I think meditation, meditating on even just our victories and our successes.
Yeah.
In challenging that stuck point, not just sitting with it and going, well, because I feel like I'm stupid, I am. And I go, oh, so that's based on how you feel. That's the only evidence you have. And I may say to them, well, you just told me that you went to school and you raised while you were raising two girls and you graduated. Well, but I didn't graduate magna cum laude. But again, you went to school while raising two girls, and you are just discounting that, which is another maladaptive coping strategy. You discount anything positive, and you just focus on that one thing that didn't go quite the way you wanted it to. So I think that's key: getting professional help, journaling. I think even writing some affirmations and sticking them on your mirror. I've done that before. As a follower of Jesus Christ, even taking certain scriptures and just praying them, and not waiting for somebody to tell me I'm beautiful. It's like when men say, "Oh, you're beautiful." I say, "No disrespect, thank you," but I said that to myself this morning.
You already know it.
Yes.
And when somebody comes around to say, "Oh, you are beautiful," it's something you already know, and you appreciate it.
And so I think, and I stress, seek professional help. I also say seek therapists who know how to offer trauma informed care. And also, again, I have found with my clients, especially when I've worked with some who have been traumatized by sexual assault, really helping them work on that self-image part is huge. And I also tell them about, exposure therapy. Of course, you want to be safe with some clients. I'm not going to say you necessarily do that with every single client. You just have to weigh some things in. But I always tell them, too, our amygdala, which is very, very key, even in the whole self-image and self-esteem arena, in that area that trauma affects, even just being able to um, expose yourself to the trigger long enough to tolerate the anxiety can also help to boost the self-esteem, because you are giving that part of your brain an opportunity to have a new learning experience. You're reteaching it, and as you become more confident, you're like, okay, yes, I can do this in baby steps.
Yeah.
I would tell people, don't be ashamed of baby steps.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Baby steps, I believe in that too. And with time, the person masters the skills needed.
Yes. Consistency.
Consistent. Yeah, that's true. That's good. Right. What would be your approach for somebody? You mentioned sexually abused people. I have most of my clients, who were sexually abused in their childhood, and it happened to be from family member, incest and all that. I found out that they find it difficult to deal with it, and it takes time to redirect their mind and free them to be themselves again.
Oh yes,
to regain their lost dignity.
Yeah, their personhood. Their personhood has become violated, and when it's been violated over and over and over, and you as a child were made to feel like it was your fault, and not that was explicitly told to you, but that's how that message was interpreted. Like, next time you need to quit walking around with short shorts on around my boyfriend. I'm just making something up.
I do hear such reports. Yeah.
What message is that sending to your child? And then my other question becomes about that boyfriend. Then that that causes me to call him into question about some things, because she is a child, he is an adult, so he should have more self-restraint.
Yeah.
Or, vice versa. I'm not going to just say men, because unfortunately, you have women who offend in families, and, you have that incest component. And I think especially because it's family, that could be extremely hard for them to have to admit to themselves out loud that this person's violation of me has just caused me to see myself as damaged, because I'm damaged and tainted. Who's going to want me? So you do get the acting out behaviors, the hypersexuality. And then most of the time the family doesn't know what to do with it. And again, within African American culture, that saying that drives me up the wall, what goes on in this family stays in this family. And I'm like, no. If it hurts me, I'm going to tell.
And that stops a lot of people from telling. You see a lot of, I see some of my clients, from their childhood, at a point the event took place, they were afraid to speak up, and they didn't want to, the family, because of that belief, what happens stays within and not to be, exposed. So that limits them from, telling the world what went on, and they still, that thing carries on, going on and on, to a point whereby the person finally finds freedom.
It keeps getting passed on. It's like a generational stuck point that keeps getting inherited until somebody says, no. I'm not going to live like a victim.
And then step in and stop it. Yeah, you're right. So what would you say to, how do you handle the journaling thing? What would you like people to know about, using, journaling their thoughts,
Yes, I believe that journaling is such a powerful tool for self-awareness, even our emotional awareness, and awareness of why we're doing what we're doing, or why we did what we did in the moment, what came up for us, what did that bring us back to emotionally, what memory even came up. And so one of the beautiful projects I had an opportunity to be a part of, and I'm so grateful, I'm excited, is Affirmations for a Woman on a Mission. And so there are affirmations. My particular affirmation is centered around trauma. Now, I would say it, but then I give away the book. So if you want to know what it is, that means you have to have a journal. But that can be an effective way to begin to build self esteem, speaking those words of life over yourself, because there is so much power in our tongue and in what we say. And so the journaling is, it has so many health benefits to it. It just helps clear your mind, and it allows those negative thoughts to not just sit there and fester and grow. So it is very crucial in the what I call the cerebral process. You know, just our thinking, because again, that's tied to emotion and behavior and all that is intertwined. And again, getting to be a part of that project, and I have even on my website on the shop page, I have my journal, affirmations for a woman on a mission, and I also have it available in
That's
ebook form.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
I
beautiful.
love it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
And I like the color.
Yes, my favorite color.
Yeah. Oh.
That my sorority color.
Oh.
Shout out to Tau Gamma Delta Incorporated. Yes, Chi Omega. I had to shout out my sorority today.
Yeah. So journaling is a great tool to use, but there is a hindrance, there is a limitation on that, which I recently found out from one of the clients. Oh, not one, more than one. They said they're afraid to journal because they do not want anybody to read their thoughts.
Ah, yes.
So what
yes,
would you suggest?
And I had a teenager say that to me, that she did journal, and somehow her mother ended up finding it and reading it in so many words. Unfortunately, some of that was ammunition, and that's unfortunate. That's not the purpose of journaling. And I do believe people's privacy, to some extent, you have to honor that. Yeah. And now, I will admit, I haven't quite come up with a full, complete answer on when they say, well, what happens, if someone reads my journal. Now, I mean, at a practical level, I would say if, and that may not be ideal for some people. If you can find a space or a place that only you know about, and especially if you have little children in the house, they very observant, look everywhere, pull stuff down. They're just being kids. So that's one of the recommendations I would make, but I definitely would say don't let it hinder you if you start seeing benefits from it, and let's say a situation, like that arises. And then I would also say, well, that doesn't always necessarily happen to everyone. And then I would probably just maybe brainstorm some possible solutions with them. What are some other alternatives? I have a client who journals on her phone. So there's different, like I said, there's an ebook version that I have available as well. You want to download it on your computer and say, okay, I'm going to put this.
That's a good resource then.
So,
yeah. If you don't want it to be seen, for those who are not confident about having their journals read by some other person, so ebook is another,
it's another alternative option that I offer.
Okay, that's good. That's a good idea. Is there any other thing you would like to add to somebody, that kind of person who thinks, journaling shouldn't be done at all because of fear of being exposed? Any other practical thing they can do?
Well, this is something I would do. I would explore that fear.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And say, well, maybe, one session we can explore the fear and see what that fear is about. That fear of being exposed. And I get it at some level. You don't want everybody in your private thoughts, and that's understandable because nobody has a right to. That, for one thing, that's a boundary violation. And I would definitely address the person and say, hey, that was a boundary violation. I didn't appreciate that. See, that goes with that self-esteem, being able to have those healthy boundaries. My boundary is you don't get to read this.
That's true.
And this is the consequence if you do.
That's true. Good. Now, you mentioned, somebody talking themselves out of the negative thoughts they've been having, but, some cultures or some society sees the way society views self-talk, that's self-talk, as somebody's crazy, somebody's,
Yeah,
so how would you encourage somebody to be, to be doing that to themselves,
to begin to speak those affirmations over themselves without
whether somebody is there listening or not. How can they achieve that boldness? You see, the people who rap, think about musicians. They rap. They don't care who is looking
they
at
don't
them.
care who's listening.
They don't care. They go on rapping and they're doing it very well.
Yeah.
So how can you encourage people? I would liken it to King David, who danced,
Oh, yeah, he danced.
with all boldness, not minding who is there watching.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He didn't care, and then he got the desired result. He didn't fear any limitation. Was not ashamed of anybody looking. So that goes to do. Most of the clients that come to me, they have that complaint about not having the boldness to do self-talk.
Because again, the whole stigma attached to it. And at the end of the day, I can't control what other people think.
Yes.
I can't.
They can't think anything.
I can't control what they think and what they feel.
Yeah.
But I will do what I need to do for my healing process. And again, that would be another area I would challenge with them, because to me, when I hear that, it's more being more concerned with what people think than with your own healing. And that goes back to that self-love. When you get to that place, it's like, you don't like it, you don't have to hear it. You can go in another room. All due respect. And I think when you just get to that point where you want your healing so bad, you just say, you know what? Because we can't. You would drive yourself crazy trying to control what people think. People are going to think what they want to think.
Yeah. They will always think, whether you do it this way, they'll think this way, So that limits one to, move forward and progress. So it's a huge problem in the society. I don't know what you would like to say about the pain, somebody who is traumatized, somebody traumatized goes through pains, and that leads to unforgiveness. Most of the time I hear them say, I wish I was dead. I wish, soon after the incident, to have, I wanted to kill myself. So, and that sense of that unforgiveness feeling keeps on and on and on.
That anger. Yeah. It's almost like when you see the person, it's like you get angry about the trauma or the event all over again. I know about that both clinically and professionally. I've had to work through my own anger and unforgiveness in certain areas in my life with certain relationships. And I think I had to come to a realization that as long as I held on to it, I couldn't hold on to my healing and my unforgiveness. Which one did I want? So I had to get to that place where I said, okay, how is this working for me? How is holding holding on to this unforgiveness working? Is it getting me the desired result? How is this helping me in my recovery process as it relates to my trauma? Again, self-love. Why would I want to keep swallowing poison if I love myself? So that goes back to building up that healthy image of, wait, I love myself too much to allow a person to have that much power over my life. I will not allow trauma to have that power anymore. I will take my power back.
And oftentimes I say to them, at least something good, though they may not like to hear it, that something good came out of, such a traumatic event when they were violated, especially if that is from a family member. For them, it's more tolerable. It came from a stranger, total stranger.
Yes. That's a whole different level of violation.
That's true. Yeah, so
that's a whole different level.
Yeah, so I see them as badly wounded, So one thing I do say to them, whether family or a stranger, I say to them, there is something good coming out of it. They like, what good will ever come out of being, sexually traumatized? So I said to them, at least your life has been spared. Your life was spared. A hardened person could have, done the deed and then get rid of that person, but they didn't proceed to that. We see it on TV, in the news and everywhere, where they get rid of that person so that they will cover up. And anyway, they will always be uncovered. So I said to them, I'm glad that something good is coming out of it. Your life was spared. Now you can rebuild your life. So is that rebuilding process that is a problem, especially the going through that pain. That something like that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you get more people with such pain in their hearts?
I oftentimes with trauma, I do, and it also depends on the level of trauma, the intensity, the nature of it, how often the trauma occurred, if it was maybe perhaps a repeated violation in childhood. It's almost like the scars, the wound starts getting more and more infected because that initial wound wasn't healed in the first place. So it just gets even more infected.
All right. So how do you see somebody who went through trauma and they can't move forward? They are isolated.
They're stuck.
Yeah, they cannot. It has driven them into deep depression that they cannot move forward. So what help or what suggestions do you have?
One thing I would recommend, because I have no issue with clients taking medication, as long as it is for valid medicinal purposes and it's taken in the dosage that it's prescribed and it's not abused. Because there are times when a client may need medication and therapy.
And therapy, yeah.
And that means also having a good relationship with the prescriber, the psychiatrist, being able to communicate, hey, I think the dosage may have to be dropped just a little because this person comes in and they're so numbed out till they can't really feel what they need to feel. So there's a fine line you have to be able to tread when it comes to that.
Yes, I do.
Looking at their loss history, it could be there's some unresolved losses that they never allowed themselves to process. So that can be another probable cause.
I didn't quite get that loss.
When they may have unresolved losses.
Oh, I see.
That they have not processed, that can also be at the root of deep depression.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. And how would they, what would you say to them, as to help them get, out and
To
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 socialize and,
Well, I would also recommend social interactions. Now, if these are people with substance abuse issues, I would not recommend a place that where there's a lot of
yeah.
liquor, alcohol around.
Yeah.
But I would recommend places where they could socialize and maintain sobriety. And I would even say, hey, do you have any friends? If they don't, well, okay, maybe let's work on building you a support system or a network, or maybe just explore the stuck points that keeps you from engaging in friendship. Because see, that's trust, which
Yeah.
is another area
Yeah,
trauma
trust. Yeah,
affects.
yeah. I've come across, cases like that where the trust is broken.
Yes.
Therefore, they don't want anything to do with, like, if it's um, the perpetrator is a man, they said, no, I have nothing to do
Yeah.
forever with a man.
Yeah, they take that
Yeah.
generalization and it becomes applied to every single man they will ever run into, which is called predicting a future.
Yeah.
And predicting the future. You're predicting an event that hasn't even happened, and you're judging a person you've never even met.
Yeah.
So how can you know that that man will be the same? You haven't had the experience.
That's a huge hindrance. The trauma works in many ways, and different people react to it in different ways and all that. Some are not coping at all. Some are, and when there are people who come to therapy, it's easy to work with them and to change their perception of, what trauma is and what shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And how to progress and move forward and not to be grounded. Yeah. Right. So, would you, for those in school, do you have a word for, like, the school counselors, or those who work with children in the school, noticing that somebody is traumatized? We need to get them help.
Yes, I would definitely say, encourage the parents to seek professional help. If you start seeing self-harming behaviors, acting in just behaviors that you may say, I know this is not this child's normal behavior. There's got to be something deeper going on here why this child is suddenly acting out. Or maybe this child's been acting out for a long time because he's been acting out pain and maybe he just doesn't know how to verbalize, he or she.
Yeah. Right. So that's encouraging. And thank you so much. I would like also to see, is there any word you need to, give to, like, girls, young girls, who are going through traumatic,
who may be dealing with low self-esteem.
Yes, low self-esteem.
One message I would definitely say is learn to love you. The greatest gift that you can have is learning how to love yourself. Because if you can't love you, then how can you receive love from a healthy individual? Love yourself. Get to know you. That's one of the hugest messages. I say get to know you, because boys are not going anywhere. Get to know you. Get to love you.
And self-love is not selfishness.
No, it's not selfishness.
It's not selfishness.
There's a difference between that.
Yeah. But some there's a faulty belief that self-love is being selfish. It's not. If one doesn't love themselves, they will not be able to function as to help some other person.
Yes.
So,
You're gonna be looking to another person for something they can't give you.
that's
They don't
true.
have the capacity to. They're not you.
Yeah, self appreciation, and that leads to being able to go on to do affirmations and talking to yourself. Your brain picks it up, and sends those signals to your emotional level, and then you see yourself acting positively,
Yes.
But when, like you pointed out as you were talking, somebody has heard repeatedly over the years how badly they've performed and how they'll be of no use, this and that. And that person has gone on to believe that that is who they are. And that is a lie. That's not true.
No, that's not true.
That's not true. So, going back to what the scripture says, this line of thinking becomes negative.
Yes.
So if we think we are uniquely made, like I say to those who are suicidal, who come to me with suicidal ideation, I said, I always let them know that you are uniquely made, and, you don't have to feel that way. Yes, it's okay, but think about it. You are uniquely made.
Yes.
That it's you, and there may be too many people going by your name, but they can never be the same because of that unique identity given to you, by your creator. So if one should run with that, that helps with those going through trauma, and low self-esteem. You have to say things that are positive to enhance your mood, be in agreement with your thinking so that the whole system will be, all positive, all mood enhancing. So that sounds good. So thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate you so much, and I believe you have a lot to share with the world, and we are waiting to listen to what you have in store. So we'll have another opportunity to come on stage and talk to people about what needs to be said.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, because a lot of hearts are hurting.
Yes.
Depression and anxiety is a huge thing.
Yes, it is.
It's like the core of all.
Yes.
Yeah. So it creeps in little, gently, subtly. By the time one knows it, it has overtaken that person and overwhelms that person.
Yes.
To the extent that they're unable to function.
Yes.
True. Yeah. So we need to. It's something the world need to handle, and so that one can be who they are meant to be and excel and get to their desired, destiny. Yeah. So thank you so much. So we'll continue to be looking at issues surrounding depression and anxiety and the other things that affects it, or the things that the issues that anxiety and depression affects. So we'll continue to walk around anxiety and depression. There are too many tools and techniques to help with. As you said, there are times to say to a client, go get help from a psychiatrist or a primary care doctor. There are times. Then, if that person goes to a psychiatrist or a doctor and comes to a therapy, that we all work together.
Yes.
To help all. Somebody coming into therapy already has those tools.
Yes.
Because people are gifted with potentials. They have the tools, they have the techniques, they have the willpower to make things happen.
Yes.
But because they're going through overwhelming situations, they are not able to use what they have. So when they come to therapy, we'll help them, to explore, to get those tools and techniques they need to enhance their well-being, their mood, So this is what we do as therapists, and we
Yes.
hope, to keep on doing it because we are passionate about what we are doing. And so when they come, they're on medication, or we can work with them, give them the tools of, reactivate their mind, rewind
Yes.
their mind so that they can
Yes.
start thinking right and living a healthier lifestyle.
Yes.
And when they go on doing that, it enhances the effectiveness of the medication.
Yes.
All right. So if one does not stay consistent, with what they're doing, they won't achieve the desired result.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to get the message out. All right. So this episode will be published on Mondays, Mondays and Tuesdays, and weekly we'll be meeting to, put our thoughts and experiences, to share them with people. All right. So if any member of our audience is happy with what we have said so far, please follow the links below to have more listening time, and subscribe to us. Thank you.